You're listening to Live and Local on Isle of Wight Radio, FM 107 and 102. And my special guest this evening is Mark King from Level 42. You still all right, Mark?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks.
You keep looking at your watch. Does that mean the
I
tide's
don't
going down?
I don't.
I'm
You
joking.
made that up. That's dreadful. No, I'm riveted by your
You sure?
technique.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I could listen to me for
No,
hours.
you're taking the mickey. So, Mark, obviously, the early days of Level 42, and it was probably a bit of a struggle and all the rest of it. So, but I remember switching the television on one night, watching the Prince's Trust concert, and you were the bass player for Clapton, and I think Collins was there, and all this, that, and the other. I mean, that must have been a real sort of high point in the career.
It was an amazing few shows, actually, because we did them over. It was 1985, 86, and 88, I think. Because we were away for the 87 one. And initially, I got hauled in by... it was Elton John suggested that I came in to do it, because I don't know if it sort of... I mean, everybody knows Elton John, of what Elton John is, but he's a big mover in sort of music circles and stuff, and he's very good at getting new guys exposure.
Yeah.
And I'd been along at an awards ceremony, sort of really just watching, because we weren't picking up any awards or anything. But Elton John made a point of, when he was announcing somebody on stage or presenting an award, of pointing me out into the audience and just saying, you know, what a great band, up-and-coming band Level 42 were. And that was so... that meant such a lot to me as an up-and-coming musician. But also, too, of like helping raise your awareness, you know.
Yeah.
So it turned out that this sort of this opportunity came through him, and it really was sort of to play bass in the house band with Eric Clapton and Elton John, of course, and Mark Knopfler, because Dire Straits were just enormous at the time.
Yeah.
Phil Collins was drumming in the band. And,
what McCartney there one year?
Yeah, what McCartney was. This was the 10th birthday anniversary of the Prince's Trust.
Yeah.
So they sort of pulled out all the stops, and it was held at Wembley Arena. And McCartney was on stage, and then guys just started coming up, almost inviting themselves on. Because we had 2 days of rehearsals, and we sort of had all the people, like McCartney had been along. I mean, that was mind-blowing anyway.
I'm sure it was.
Someone like Paul McCartney stood there. But then Mick Jagger and David Bowie came up on stage and wanted to sing Dancing in the Streets, because that had just been a really big hit for them.
Yeah.
And we sort of jammed that through. And just to sort of just to add to the mayhem, what's the guy's name? You know, Everything I Do It For You. Brian...
Oh, Brian Adams.
Brian Adams.
Yeah.
He sort of wandered up on stage and did it too. So, yeah, they were just like knee-deep in all of these famous... Everywhere you look was just sort of, were legend guys. And
Must have been an amazing feeling.
It was fantastic, you know. And I mean, I'm the only guy I hadn't heard of up there. It was just... it was really bizarre. I'm sure everybody in the audience was thinking, who's that in the corner there, you know, with the... Shouldn't he be sweeping up or something? But none of those guys sort of made you feel that way. They didn't make you feel as if you were the new kid at all.
Because I can't remember whether it was something that you said. It may not have even come from you, but I remember a story, whether I read it or heard it, I can't remember, but it was when you went round somebody's house or flat or whatever to rehearse with Paul McCartney, and he said, let's get some scotch or something, and gave someone a fiver or something to go and get a couple of bottles of scotch.
No, but this is an apocryphal story that I have heard that during when they'd sort of finished a session in the studio, I think, you know, I guess sort of McCartney doesn't get out too much and buy stuff, but he just sort of said to the tape ops on it, you know, could you just nip down to the pub and buy us a bottle of scotch? And, you know, gave him a fiver. Yeah. Almost with a look of, you know, get some crisps as well. And, yeah.
So nobody knows whether that's really, really true or not.
No. Let's hope
allegedly.
So,
yeah, definitely.
Let's hope it is.
So did you ever sort of gig with any of those again? I mean, did Clapton give you a call and say, do you fancy coming and play my bass?
We did... we did the following year's Prince's Trust concert as well, which was a very similar lineup, and this time it was complemented with who were the guys? George Harrison, Ringo Starr came in, and just a whole plethora of Van Morrison was there. I mean, he's a bit of a dour dude, Van. He insisted on using his own band. Yeah. But,
he's a grumpy git, isn't he?
Well, you know, you can say that.
I can.
I know you can, yeah.
Allegedly,
he's a bit sort of, you know, frumpy, but so there you go. You know, he's written some good songs, hasn't he? And no, it was all sort of done again. But I've you know, through these things, you know, I've got to go and play with Jeff Beck and have a few shows with him. And the nice thing is that then when, you know, sort of years pass and things happen, because there was a very sad sort of tie-up really with the Eric Clapton situation is that we both shared the same security guy when things were sort of really going mad for us in 87, 88, 89. We had a security guy who was working for us and was working for Eric as well, Mr. Brown. He was the most sort of respected guy. He was a very, very cool guy. Yeah. And we'd sort of been out with him through the summer, and sort of just towards this autumn, he'd gone out with Eric and was doing some shows with Eric Clapton's band. And Eric Clapton's band was being supported by Stevie Ray Vaughan's band that was opening the shows for them. And there was one night at, I think it was Pine Knoll up in San Francisco, that because Eric used to sort of fly in and out, would go back to Los Angeles and stay there. And they had a couple of helicopters on. And Stevie Ray Vaughan really wanted to get back. It's one of those really sad rock and roll stories.
Yeah, because that was a bank holiday weekend in August. Yeah.
And anyway, that the security dudes got on the helicopter, and Eric said, well, listen, Steve, you have it. I said, I'll drive back. I'll go back in the bus with the guys tonight. He said, I'm not fussed to go home. Yeah. And unfortunately, the helicopter took off and flew into the ski... the ski, what do you call it? The ski lift.
Your lift, that's right.
And,
I couldn't think what it was.
Killed everybody on board, which is really, really sad.
Horrendous, wasn't it?
That was absolutely horrible. And so that you sort of then you sort of see Eric at the funeral and stuff, and it's this is just, it's all sort of very human.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it brings you back down to
it does,
earth,
and of course you realise that we're all just the same anyway. That there aren't any. Nobody's different. Everybody feels the same way about these things. And, there you go.
That's all right. So what was the sort of, what would you say the height of the Level 42 sort of fame was?
Well, I suppose around 1989, because whenever they would just seem to be releasing like constant best-ofs and this, that and the others and platinum editions, and these things were like sort of selling 1.5 million copies per territory.
Yeah.
Just off the bat, which meant that people were really interested in what was going on, and we seemed to be stringing up so many runs of 8 nights at Wembley Arena, and then we get the other side of Christmas, and then we go in and do another 8 nights, all sold out. Yeah. And then there's sort of 6 weeks later, we do another 8 nights there. And it was just phenomenal. It was absolutely mad time, and of course that things take their toll on everybody, and that first Boone Gould left the band.
Why did he leave? Was it just
it just didn't
happen?
It couldn't take the pressure of the whole thing anymore. I mean, there is an awful lot of pressure on you, and I think that you need to be cut from a certain kind of cloth to want to, to be able to put up with it, or to be happy to put up with it, And there comes a time when you've got enough money going on that you sort of think, well, I don't need this anymore. I think I'd just rather go off to live in Portugal or something, And it's incredibly tempting, that thing to do, But for me, I really wanted to soldier on, and the very next album we made, actually, was co-written with Boone Gould again. Yeah. And then after Boone left, his brother Phil left as well. And that made it just as tough, but it seemed like, well, what's going to happen? And Mike leaned up and said, well, I'd really like to carry on, Mark. And I said, well, I'm going for it too. So we replaced the guys with Gary Husband, who still works with us today, and he's an amazing musician. He's just a fantastic drummer. And I'd first seen Gary on. There used to be a TV show on Southern TV that was run by Jess Yates of all people, and I think it was Junior Showtime. Yeah. And I think Jess Yates was either the producer or something like that. And I can remember getting home from school one day and turning this on. I would have been 14 or 15 years old, and seeing this amazing guy like thrashing 7 bells out of his drum kit. And then he sort of suddenly scooted off to a piano and played the most amazing piano. Yeah. And then sort of shot back to the drum kit and beat 7 bells out of it, and then got onto a trumpet and started playing the trumpet. And I can remember being livid, thinking, well, that should be me, and, why couldn't I have been born in Leeds or something like that?
The fact that he's got nothing to do where you were born.
Anyway, I made a mental note then. I thought, well, if I ever make it, I'm going to get him in the band and ruin his career. So,
I'm sure you didn't do that, Mark. I'm sure you didn't do that. Should we play another song?
Yeah, go on.
Here we go.